UFC Shanghai. Johnny Walker is taking on Zhang Mingyang. I will be getting up in the early hours of the night to watch this. I'm not stoked, but yeah. A lot of nobodies, a lot of names I can't pronounce. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm excited to watch this, but here we are. Let's get it started. Dr. Nurgajev versus Uran Satibaldiev. Nurgajev had this really bad tick in his last fight. He wipes his face. He's the guy, I don't know if anybody ever watched this fight. It was against Brenson Ribeiro, I believe. Just kept wiping his face. Yeah, he's a fucking retard. I gotta stop using that word on this channel so much, but he is one of the worst ticks I've ever seen. Stop covering up your eyes when you're in a fight, you dumb idiot. Satibaldiev fought on short notice against Martin Badai, and he didn't look bad. That's all I need to know. Stop covering up your eye and maybe I'll pick you. This is a combat sport. You kind of need your eyesight. So, moving on. Long Zhao versus Su Young Yu. I think Long Zhao's an underdog here, and I'm going to take him. He is. Not a big one, but yeah. Both kind of grapple-heavy guys. Su Young Yu is a little bit more pressing in terms of trying to get takedowns. Long Zhao's very positionally aware when he does get to the ground, and he is more of a danger on the feet. I think he did get a TKO in his last fight, if I remember that. I didn't do too much research on this fight. Yeah, he totally fucked up Quang Lee in his last fight. I believe he was messing him up for all 3 rounds before putting him away. And Su Young Yu, if I remember correctly, his competition has been very mid. Bayergang Jeliasi and AJ Cunningham are his 2 wins. He doesn't really get finishes like at all as of recent. I'm taking Long Zhao. I like his finishing potential on the feet. I don't trust Su Young Yu to be able to just positionally put himself in spots for 15 straight minutes against Long Zhao, who's a very good grappler himself. I'll take Long Zhao. Moving on from that. Next up, we've got Yizha versus Weston Wilson. I'm not breaking this down. I'm taking Yizha. Yizha is going to win a lot of fights at the lower parts of 145 just because he's so hard to put away. I don't remember who it was in his last fight. I think it was Daniel Santos or something. Gabriel Santos. He got put down like 2 or 3 times by really hard shots, and he didn't go out. He just kept fighting, which I mean, I'd love to see that. I love seeing guys that don't quit, and he's not going to quit, especially against a guy like Weston Wilson. His losses are to Joe Anderson, Brito, and Gene Silva. You go, oh, well, it's Joe Anderson, Brito, and Gene Silva. He got torched immediately in both of those fights. It's not like, oh, well, he was in there with good competition. No, he got up immediately. He shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And then his win was against Jekka Sergey, who just got flatlined in 28 seconds in his last fight. He's not fought good competition. Yizha is a very good defensive grappler. I wouldn't say very good defensive grappler, but he is good in terms of defending takedowns, sprawling, getting to a better position, because he's a psycho. He doesn't stop. He doesn't stop moving when he does get rocked. Taking Yizha, and he's a huge favorite, if I remember correctly. Let me look. He is. He's minus 1,500. Weston Wilson is a glorified punching bag. Moving on. Mikel Pereira versus Kyle Dawkins. There is no fucking way that Mikel Pereira is 31 years of age. I would love to see his birth certificate. If I had to guess, I'd say minimum 43. I don't believe that at all. I probably have better cardio than Mikel Pereira, and I haven't done cardio in months. This does worry me, but I'm taking Mikel Pereira. Dude, the name just Dawkins just screams, I'm gonna get knocked the fuck out, you know? Like Chris Dawkins, we all knew that he was gonna get up after he got knocked out a few times. Oh my god, Kyle Dawkins, good lord. He didn't have a good run in the UFC, dude. He was terrible. Oh my god. His best win is what? Dustin Stoltzfus? And then he gets fucked up by Eric Anders, Phil Hawes, Roman Dolidze in the first round. I'm taking Mikel Pereira, and I'm not confident about it because this guy has 2 minutes of fight in him. He didn't look terrible against Abus Magomedov. He actually seemed like he maybe saw a treadmill in his fight camp for that fight. I guess. I don't fucking know, dude. Moving on. Rongju versus Austin Hubbard. I'm taking Rongju. Austin Hubbard is not a fighter. Like, I think I said this in my last prediction video with him in it. He's the white bread of the UFC. He's 4-7 in the UFC. How the fuck is he still here? He's dropped 3 out of his last 4, not even to good competition. Kurt Holloway, you know? And Rongju has shown that he actually can bounce back. Obviously, there was the Chris Padilla fight, but then he came back and he fought another white dude. And if I remember correctly, the guy was like a decently capable fighter. It was like one of the Codys. There's way too many Codys in the UFC, by the way. Stop signing Codys. But it was a guy named Cody, and it was a white guy, and he was like very fast twitch oriented, and Rongju did a great job of neutralizing him. Good bounce back win. I think he has momentum on his side, and Austin Hubbard is a fucking idiot. Lona Kavanaugh versus Charles Johnson. This is my favorite fight on the card. How is this not on the main card? I have no idea. Let me know, Dana. What's going on, man? Charles Johnson, like pretty versatile flyweight, you know, been here for a long time. Lona Kavanaugh got shouted out by Ilia Topuria on the Joe Rogan Experience. Nasty. Undefeated in the UFC. Yeah, just throw him on the prelims. Not even the featured fight of the prelims. Good job, Dana. I'm taking Lona Kavanaugh for a few reasons. The length of Charles Johnson does scare me because he is the person who put out Joshua Van. I think that the size kind of just played a huge factor in that. When Joshua Van can't establish a range or a jab, and he can't unload in combination, otherwise he's getting sniped. That kind of gives me the same vibe here, but the difference is I think Lona Kavanaugh is a very good offensive grappler. He showed that in his last fight against Santos guy, who actually I think he got cut. Did he get cut? That's going to really make me sad if he got cut. I think he got cut because he went 1-3 in the UFC, but they gave him good people. Andre Lima, Manel Kopp, and Lona Kavanaugh. So, anyways, I think Lona Kavanaugh, he does a good job. I'm going to make a Clash Royale reference right here, dude. If, how do I say this? Your opponent is attacking you in Clash Royale, and you attack on the other side, they have no option but to defend that and look elsewhere and stop focusing so much on their attack, if that makes sense. And that kind of goes hand in hand with MMA. This is the dumbest thing I've probably ever said on this channel. But Lona Kavanaugh is very, very good at that. He's very good at mixing in stuff. And when he does get to the ground, he does mix in shots with his strikes because he unloads in combinations very well. And he darts in and out. When he does mix in his grappling and he does get top position, for one, he holds top position very well. And for two, he stays very busy. He doesn't just sit there and hold position like someone we saw last weekend who just held a body lock and didn't look to advance position. I'm not going to say any names, but we did see someone do that recently. Lona Kavanaugh does not do that. He's very, very active. He looks to land shots that will end the fight, unlike somebody we saw last weekend. Charles Johnson's length really does scare me, though, and he is a good defensive grappler. I understand that. Lona Kavanaugh does a very good job of when he likes baiting out shots, like he'll jab and then pull counter, snipe with a right hand. Then he'll do it again. He has a nasty highlight of doing that, actually. Most guys will just do that and then step off and reset. He doesn't do that. He'll jab, step out, pull counter the guy, crack him with the right hand, and then he'll work an opening off of that. Throw a mean hook to the body, or he'll step back out and throw a 1-2 immediately after and crack the guy again. I trust Lona Kavanaugh. I think he's a problem. I think that Ilia Topuria saying that he's a problem is also very telling. When the number one fighter in the world is singing your praises, I have no choice but to pick you, and he's one of my favorite prospects to watch. I have Lona Kavanaugh. I haven't even said what I thought the other fights were going to be. I have Salty Badiev by decision. I have Long Zhao by decision. I have Yizha by first round KO. I have Mikel Pajeda by first round KO. I have Rongju by decision, and I have Lona Kavanaugh by decision. Maya Shate versus Gage Young. Gage Young impressed the living out of me in his last fight against Evan Elder, because Evan Elder is no small task, especially on short notice. Gage Young took that. I think he took that fight on like 1 week notice or something. He did lose like comfortably. It was a scrap. And Evan Elder is no guy that you just walk in there on short notice and give him a war. And Gage Young did that, and he impressed the out of me, dude. And Maya Shade has not done that for me in his UFC career. He's 2-3. To be fair, it is to guys like Nicolas Mata, guys like who else has he fought? The dude, Borishev, Vyacheslav Borishev. I think that Vyacheslav Borishev is a little bit overrated, but you know, whatever. Gage Young just impressed me enough in this last fight to have me pick him. I do think that this will be a close fight. Yeah, the size does worry me a little bit from Maya Shate, but it is what it is. I think Gage Young's this game, and he does have a really good chin, and he'll take one to give two, which I love. I love that style of just a brawler. It is going to catch up to him at some point, but it is what it is. I'll take Gage Young. After that, we've got Tuyilaki Nuraji versus Kiefer Crosby. Kiefer Crosby looks like he's 85 years old. What the hell's going on? Yeah, I'm taking Nuraji. He's huge. With some of these guys from China that have fought on the regional scene and they make their UFC debut, I'm very skeptical because a lot of times they fight cans, but this guy has fought guys that do have actually pretty good records. 28-7, 5-2, 8-3, 13-4. Guys that actually aren't bad, and he's putting them away in the first round. He does have good grappling. He always looks to finish fights. Of his 11 wins, 10 of them are by KO, and the one is by submission. It was the armbar. He's very, very good, I think, for at least a regional Chinese fighter, and Kiefer Crosby is not. He's not good. Like, have you guys heard of this guy? No, you haven't, because he's lost twice in the UFC to Sam Patterson and Kevin Jousset. Kevin Jousset has 2 left feet, and actually Sam Patterson's pretty good, if I remember correctly. Oh, shit. Sam Patterson's looked good recently. Whatever, that's not going to sway me. That's not going to sway me at all. I'm taking Nuraji. Sumaderji versus Kevin Borjas. I mean Borjas, man. Taking Kevin Borjas. Yeah, I'm taking Kevin Borjas. I think Sumaderji looks like he is an anorexic and he needs to get a full meal in him. He looks like he's a neglected child. Kevin Borjas fought Ronaldo Rodriguez in his last fight. Ronaldo Rodriguez, I do think, is very overrated. But he's been in there with Joshua Van. He took Joshua Van to a decision. His grappling is very good. He's a good offensive grappler. These Hispanic dudes, I don't know what's in their blood. They're always really good at scrambling. Not like the overweight, heavy-set ones that have like the best chin you have ever seen. The Hispanic dudes who are very fast twitch and kind of spazzy, they always scramble really, really well. It kind of freaks me out. But he is a really good scrambler. Oh my God. Sumaderji's terrible, dude. What am I? Took Mitch Raposo to a split decision that he lost. I did not score that fight for him. How the fuck do you lose to Matt Schnell? He lost to Matt Schnell. I can't take him to win a fight. What am I trying to convince myself? I'm taking Kevin Borjas. I'm taking Kevin Borjas by decision. Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. If I have to see Waldo Cortez Acosta win another MMA fight, I'm gonna blow my head off, and I'm not kidding. Sergey Pavlovich should finish this in the first round. I'd say their grappling is about even. I thought Waldo Cortez Acosta lost his last fight against, I think it was Sergey Spivak. And I think Sergey Pavlovich would decapitate Sergey Spivak inside of a minute and a half. If I have to watch this guy win another fight, I'm legitimately going to blow my head off, dude. Waldo Cortez Acosta, he's going to be in there. He's going to be emoting, thinking that he's landing good shots. If Sergey goes out there and he fights like he did, 2 years ago, he's going to him up. You know, there's a threshold at heavyweight, and Waldo is not at that level. Sergey has knocked out Curtis Blades. He's knocked out Derek Lewis. He's been in there with really high-level competition. He got fucked up by Volkov. I understand. He got fucked up by Tom Aspinall. I understand. There's 2 thresholds, though. There's the threshold of the top 3, and then there's the threshold of the, 4 to 7. Waldo isn't in the second threshold, I don't think. I'm the biggest Sergey Pavlovich fan on earth on Saturday. All right, moving on from that. Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Taking Aljo, and originally I was pretty confident about this. I thought Aljo was going to win this, and then I found out it was 5 rounds. And I was like, oh, Aljo had the belt at 135 for a while. He probably has tons of gas in the tank. Fought championship rounds decent amount of times. Then you look at his last fight against a heavy grappler. And I'm not saying that Movsar is even close to being on the level of Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega does love to grapple, and he does love searching for submissions. And Aljo does give his neck a lot in a lot of positions. And then he has to work so hard to grapple out of that and scramble out of that he gasses a lot. And I really don't like that from him. So I am worried. I'm worried about a late submission from Brian Ortega, which is very, very possible. That being said, I did have Aljo winning that Movsar fight, and you can hate on me, and I don't care. I had him winning. I think Movsar would ragdoll Brian Ortega. And I think that says something, but it is 5 rounds, so who knows? And I do think Aljo's striking is a little bit better than Brian Ortega's. Aljo going up to 45 does scare me too, because he's going to get more tired. I'll take Aljo. I think he wins a decision. I think he probably wins the first 3 and loses the second 2 off of Brian Ortega probably pulling a guillotine that's really cinched in at one point. Maybe they get into a north-south position and Brian Ortega goes for a front headlock and pulls an anaconda or a darce, something like that. Or maybe Aljo's like in his guard and Brian Ortega gets into like an omoplata of some sort and has Aljamain in a lot of trouble. I can see that happening in later rounds, but I do trust Aljo to not be finished because he's been in there. He was in there with Petr Yan. Petr Yan was grappling his ass off, and he still couldn't get a submission on Aljo. I think he's very defensively responsible. I don't see him getting into anything of that nature from Brian Ortega. I just don't. I'm taking Aljo. I have him by decision. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Usually I make a conscious effort to talk the most about the main event because that's what people want to hear. But Zhang Mingyang is going to Johnny Walker in the first round. Do I have to explain myself? Okay, I'll explain myself a little bit. Johnny Walker used to be a big problem. What happened to Johnny Walker's kind of what happened to Conor. Conor used to be very fluid and you didn't know what was happening and what was coming because that very wide kind of side to side, back and forth karate stance that he had. Johnny Walker was kind of the same way. You had these surprise bursts out of nowhere that would catch people off guard. You would flying knee people. You would jump off the cage and throw a Superman punch. Those still happen, but his stance is very much more closed off, and he almost has like a boxing stance now, and his boxing is not good. So I don't know why his coaches, or I don't know who told him to switch that up and go to a more closed shell boxing style. Because he's not a good boxer. He's a good retard. You need that surprise factor, I think, if you're Johnny Walker to win these types of fights. And Zhang Mingyang is a very, very good. He has a good Muay Thai kind of style. He's going to chop at you with step-in elbows. His low kicks are disgusting. Right in the fight against Anthony Smith, I know it's Anthony Smith, but he chopped out Anthony Smith's leg in probably like 30 or 40 seconds. You could tell Anthony Smith was having trouble walking on it. He slaps shots around the guard really good, and when you're Johnny Walker and you have this weak shell as a boxer now, Zhang Mingyang is going to be able to slap hooks around that guard as he did against Anthony Smith. He slapped that right hook around Anthony Smith's guard so easy multiple times. And Johnny Walker is so fucking chinny. I can see another cartoon knockout. He like falls over and he does the stanky leg before he completely goes out. And it's probably going to happen by one of those lead step-in elbows or one of those shots where Zhang Mingyang feints like a jab to the body and then rips upstairs with a left hook with a right hand behind it and splits the guard, or straight up just slaps a right hook around the guard and puts Johnny Walker into a wobble and then falls into the ground and finishes him. It's probably going to be something like that because it's Johnny Walker and he's not the same, like he's literally not the same fighter anymore. His whole stance, his whole style, it's different, it's gone. The way he was winning fights was his old style and he's not there anymore. So I'm taking Zhang Mingyang. I have him by early TKO. I have a lot of early TKOs. So I have Sati Baldia by decision. I have Long Zhao by decision. I have Yisha by first round TKO. I have Mikel Pajeda by first round TKO. I have Rongju by decision. Lona Kavanaugh by decision. I have Young by late TKO. I have Nuraji by first round TKO. I have Kevin Borjas by decision, Sergey Pavlovich by first round TKO, and Aljamain Sterling by decision. And then I have Zhang Mingyang by first round TKO, or just brutal KO because it's Johnny Walker. Those are my picks. I'm really not looking forward to getting up in the early hours of the night to watch this, but I'm going to do it. I made it this far, I guess. Appreciate you. If you're new to the channel and you do enjoy the picks, because I have been giving good picks recently, just saying. I went 10 of 12 on the Dolidze card. I went 9 of 12 on the Duplessis card. I went 8 of 12 on the Tyra card. I've been doing good recently, so drop a like. This video is probably not going to get very many views, but it is what it is. I appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.